woke Hollywood continues to bend the knee to the woke media. Let's see.
Why is it always like this?
Because they don't fucking like
Hi, my
normal
name is
people.
Sydney. Welcome back to hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by PDS Debt.
Oh.
And of course, happy Valentine's Day to all of you on my side of the planet, and happy late Valentine's Day to those of you on the other side of the planet. I hope you all felt a little love, platonic or otherwise. And if not, just know that I love you. Because love makes the
Yeah.
world go round, or so I'm told. Now, as
Okay,
basically
like,
all of you know at this point, Hollywood has been progressing down this absolutely bizarre path of
yeah.
turning anything and everything into a remake.
Yeah.
Even if
I
no
don't
one.
know why. They have this fucking mentality that, okay, let's make everything into a remake now. What? They will like this. Like, they already flop a lot of remakes, but they still, okay, let's push this out until they like it. I kind of know why, because animation, like traditional 2D animation, is legitimately time consuming and hard to make. They probably don't want to pay a lot of animators to animate a whole movie in a short span, because like they can make a whole movie in a short span without using 2D animation.
Asked for it, and they'll still call something live action,
Yeah.
even if the new film is 90% CGI.
CGI. Yeah.
Why not? I guess. Now, for very obvious reasons, people have been talking a lot about the new Snow White film that's set to be in theaters sometime in March. Let me remind you all that this is the same film that has decided that Snow White's name is because she was born in the snow and not
Yeah.
because she has skin that's white as
Yeah.
snow like the original, so take that what you will.
To honor the day I was born, my father named me Snow White.
I love to hate this timeline. But this time I thought that we could take a look at yet another remake that's set to be in theaters sometime in June that has interestingly flown a little bit under the radar,
What?
despite the fact that it's doing just as many
Oh yeah.
egregious things as all the other remakes
Yeah.
we've come to know and love. I also recently happened upon some news
How to Train Your
concerning
Dragons.
a specific film that really irritated me. And because it's Valentine's Day, I would be selfish if I didn't irritate you too. Now, some of you might remember that back in early 2023, it was announced that the animated 2010 film How to Train Your Dragon was set for a live-action remake. And for
They
a lot
didn't
of
need
people,
to
this
do
was
that.
actually good news, or neutral news at least,
Yeah.
given that the original film has a bit of a cult following, so to speak, and was really well received upon its original release. I am aware and I know this is a film made for children,
Yeah.
but if I'm being honest, I think it's adorable, and I actually happen to rewatch. I have hiccups, so trying to film right now is impossible. Oh my god.
Fitting for the fucking topic.
Oh, I don't know if I can do this.
Hiccups.
For an hour. And I happened to rewatch it the other night. And also, you know, hello there, Stoic.
Oh my
I'm
god.
sure you guys are noticing a trend about the sort of animated man that I weirdly sexualize in these videos. Siri, do I have a daddy issue? You don't even own an iPhone. Anyway,
Yay,
shortly
Android
after
user.
this announcement, we came to find out that Hollywood was doing what Hollywood does best. And it became
Making live
clear
actions.
that one of the main characters was set to be race swapped.
Yeah.
The blonde-haired, fair-skinned female lead, Astrid. Rather than finding someone who looks like the original leading lady, they instead cast Nico Paca, who I've mentioned previously in other videos, and this wasn't the first time that she was raising a blonde-haired, pale-skinned cutie patootie.
Yeah.
I unironically think this is a terrible thing to be known for. I don't even...
Yeah, it's bad. You're known for like race swapping. You're a person who's known to be race swapped. Like, you are known for race swapping a blonde-haired, blue-eyes character to not dark skin, like slightly dark-skinned, curly-haired character.
think that that Nico Parker is a bad actress.
Yeah.
It's just that every time I
It-
come across her,
She doesn't fit the role. She's a great actor. It's just that physically she's not fitting the role because okay, a blonde, blue eyes, white character is not fitting to be played with a brown curly head brown eyes character. Like is it does she have brown eyes? I don't fucking know. I don't look at her eyes so
it's in this context. Why? Obviously, all of this went down about as well as you'd
Yeah.
imagine. And the response to this criticism
oh
was
yeah, also the fucking cast their friends. Rough Nut and Tough Nut, like I think Tough Nut is kind of perfect for the role because like okay, Rough Nut looks like he ate fucking Tough Nut, like bitch. If they removed like Rough Nut and put just Tough Nut there, like we will assume that she ate Rough Nut or Tough Nut. Like I don't fucking know who. I know, but I
the
know
same as it always is. Stop being a bunch of sexist, racist, far-right bigots. I mean, God forbid that we ask Hollywood to
it's
just
not even sexist. It's just racist. Okay. We didn't argue that she was not like she wasn't playing a bad man. We just argued that the race was not right. So it's just racist.
have characters look how they originally looked.
Yeah.
How terrible of us to find issue with that. I feel like they're gone. I feel like I did it. Oh my god, I think I inhaled correctly. Wait. Oh no, there they are. Having the hiccups is incredibly annoying.
It's annoying.
And actually, there are a lot of other things that are much more annoying that you probably have that you'd like to fix, like debt,
Oh,
which is why
and-
today's video is sponsored by PDS. Link in the description, or go to pdsdebt.com/Sydney. It only takes 30 seconds, and once again, that's pdsdebt.com/Sydney. After the initial blow up, this whole situation basically just faded into the background because I think a lot of people have made peace with the fact that Hollywood studios are just going to keep milking existing animated films and keep churning out their terrible live action remakes. Also, additionally, I don't think that there was enough drama around this particular remake for people to really get their knickers in a knot too much.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure
Surprisingly.
what's considered live action about a film that's still majority animated.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing something here.
It's a live
maybe
action.
I'm not the target audience. I don't know.
It's just like a remake. It's a remake. It's not live action, it's a remake. With real people with fake dragons. It's half and half.
But in my travels of the internet, I came across the newly released How to Train Your
It
Dragon
looks-
trailer,
dragons
which
look
gave
cool.
us a better look at the cast. I'm sure Editing Sydney is gonna show you some of this.
Yes. I've killed hundreds of us.
Editing Sydney just added a bunch of stoic clips, didn't she? Then, in a strange turn of events, I happened upon a Screen Rant article headlined, "Not Everyone Needs to Be White. How to Train Your Dragon's Live-Action Casting and Lore Change Unpacked by Director After Astrid Backlash." And obviously, just
Blackstrid.
based on this headline, it really irritated me. I was very annoyed. This crap is why NASA have found an asteroid that's probably gonna hit us in like 8 years. The article relayed an interview that took place with the film's director, Dean DeBlois. DeBlois. That's how he pronounces it. DeBlois. In speaking about the race swap of our blonde-haired, pale-skinned Astrid, he said that Nico Parker's casting was about her performance and not her appearance. He said people who are online who are complaining she's not blonde enough or white enough just
Oh my god. Ugh. Fucking allergies. Wow. Okay. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Okay.
wait till they see the performance. The performance tells me everything I need to know. It's also an expanded mythology, so not everyone needs to be white in this community. They are a gathering of warriors from all these different places under the same Viking banner. Well, I do hate to be the bearer of bad
Yeah?
tidings, but if they're Vikings, then
They're
yeah,
white.
they probably do all need to be white.
Yeah, if they're Vikings, they would be pale, blue-eyed, blonde people. That's just how Vikings were.
What's that? He's doing an ancient multiculturalism. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see. If I hiccup one more time, I am going to freak out.
It's like making a Native American movie and making making one of the like leading actress white, because like all Native Americans are not white. Are not like are not like bro. It's like I don't know. And it's fictional though. It's fictional. Like it's fictional, so we can like get away with it. Like it's a fictional world where there's a one black person that is like not black person, white person that is a Native American. We can excuse that, but no, can't. It's cultural appropriation. If even though if it's fictional, it's still like, oh, we're saying like there's a white Native American that has been like born.
Deblois basically goes on to describe how, in the remake, they've created a multicultural world, suggesting that because the warriors come from different places, they're now all mixed in together, saying that's all sort of nonsense surrounding the diverse casting. I just
Also,
discount
like she's half, right? Like yeah, she can fit the look, but she's not like fitting the look.
it. They don't know what they don't know. Once you see the movie, the
We will
things
hate it.
answer themselves. Yeah, this is another case where the director or whoever's working on this movie is like, no, it's your fault, bigots. You did this to yourselves by being bigoted. Personally, my favorite part of this interview is when our friend here alludes to the absolutely incorrect assessment that Vikings were a multicultural society because they did a lot of traveling. And
No, they did a lot of traveling and raiding and killing people. Probably. Don't quote me on that.
something this somehow justifies Astrid being non-white. The Screen Rant article also attempts to justify the logic here, writing, while Astrid's race should not matter at all in this fantasy world, it is interesting to hear Deblois talk about how her non-white race could be historically based. This is
Oh
due
my
to
God,
the Vikings
historically
traveling
based?
via the Silk Road, which expanded to places including North Africa. This makes me want to rip my hair out.
What no?
How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh.
I have had the hiccups.
Oh
this
my.
I'm having such a bad time.
You should do a little quick edit of all your little hiccups.
Bruh, it's terrible.
Spoilers.
So naturally, I obviously have a lot of opinions about
Yeah.
this. And with that said as well, I am trying to be cognizant of the fact that this is a film for children and maybe
Yeah.
it's not that deep. But I think because of how
Eh,
frequently
yeah,
Hollywood
it's not
does
that deep.
this sort of thing, and actually now that I'm saying it out loud and kind of
It's like technically not that deep. They're trying to like they have an agenda, and like I don't know what the agenda is because I'm not that into like Hollywood fucking shit, so I don't know what.
working through it, I feel like there's definitely an agenda to it because they do it a lot in children's movies, so, you know, do with that information what you will. But I personally find this really frustrating and annoying, especially when you consider the words of the director that we were just discussing. But I think I've adequately determined the reasons why this is so annoying. Firstly, and I think this is important and I would like to get it out of the way early on, I do actually agree with the sentiment that a made-up, non-historic kids movie is allowed to take certain
Yeah.
liberties with ideas and representations and what have you. Obviously. Dragons aren't real. I know,
Yeah.
that's a shocking statement.
Dragons are not
Vikings
real.
don't have American and Scottish accents. This is fully a fantasy world, and as such, not everything needs to be historically
Yeah.
accurate. This was the same argument, more or less, made by the creators of God of War
Understandable.
Ragnarok when they race swapped the giantess Angrboda and made her black for some reason. Also, can I just say how much I hate that this is the first image that pops up when you search this person from Norse mythology? Like, what are we doing here, Google? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Point being, I understand the argument being made here about fantasy, and I will give it to these people to an extent. Where I
Yeah.
draw a very, very hard line in the sand comes from two places. Number one, if you are recreating something that already exists with pre-established characters and a
You shouldn't
pre-established
change it.
storyline, and you randomly decide to take leave of those factors, you're not
Yeah.
doing
People will get angry. Like, we don't want to change. Like, it's like in the Shrek trailer. The same way as the Shrek trailer. Like, they hated the new fucking animation style. And, like, the new models of the character. 3D models of the character. But it's not that big of a difference. Just model and animation style. It doesn't fit the Shrek vibes, but it's great animation overall. It's the same here, but it's more of a major difference. They literally race swapped a character
it because the world is
to fit
fantasy and you
their
suddenly
fucking
have greater
narrative.
creativity available to you. You're doing it for activism points.
Yeah,
Especially
activism.
when the world, the mythology that you're trying to represent is actually based on a real
Real.
life culture celebrated by a real life group of people. One that involved a lot of white Europeans. Yes, I know that statement makes some people cry. The creators are merely adapting one film to another. These characters are not theirs to change and reinvent. If the people creating this film so desired to do their own thing,
Yeah, they
then
can
they
do
should
their
make
or
a
their
new
own.
movie, not attempt to adapt an existing one. I am of the opinion that if you are recreating someone that already exists, a character that already exists, then the objective is to stay as true to that character's original form as possible, which
Yeah, it's like making a new Black Panther and casting fucking Ryan Gosling. Like, people will hate that shit.
means casting people who actually look like the character.
That also, even though it's fictional, the argument that it's fictional, like you change, even though like you casted Ryan Gosling as Black Panther, even though like the argument that it's fictional, like it's still like based on like some real, like some real aspects of like the world, like Africa, like the same as Vikings. They're European and white with blonde hair, so it's just okay if a white person gets changed to a black person because they're gay. It's okay, but the moment we change a black person to a black character to and make it a white person, now that's fucking fucked up. Like, it's just double standards.
Why does everybody in this film look more or less exactly the same except this one blonde-haired, pale-skinned lady? Why is that? They've even gone to the effort of making the main dragon here look exactly the same.
Yeah.
The blonde girl is where they draw the line. Although, I mean, they also
Yeah.
made this character randomly fat because
Yeah.
I guess we needed some fat acceptance.
Yeah.
Some obesity representation. I don't know. Also, I come back to asking, what exactly is live action about this? Why are we remaking something that didn't need to be remade? It's
Yeah.
only 10 years old. And unfortunately, dragons still don't exist. I genuinely don't mean to be unkind here and nitpicky, but I mean, if you're making a live action remake, doesn't that speak to the fact that the people and the places and the things are real? I mean, what's the point in remaking a movie that's still like 90% CGI? I feel like I'm missing something here. Anyway, we are talking about a film that, based on its trailer, is seemingly going to be a shot-for-shot remake. They cared
But not
enough
shot
to
for
stay
shot.
true to all of these factors, giving us dragons that look like the originals, characters who more or less look the same. They haven't attempted to expand the world in any other way or add to the story in any other way beyond just saying, oh, the Vikings traveled a whole heap, they met brown people, that means that Vikings must have had a multicultural society.
Yeah.
Wrong. They didn't. I think I'm gonna put here that you sit on a throne of lies statement, because that is accurate. That's how I feel when I listen to and read this crap. Stop lying about history, please. Stop it. Stop it. There's no justification. I hate this. I hate it here. Please, please just eat sand and turn into a golem and then cease existing. Anyway, this brings me to my second point. Although the world where this story is set is made up, and it isn't necessarily built around any specific Nordic folklore or mythology, it is still entirely based around a group of people who
Yeah.
really existed. And when we find out that a story is based around a particular real-life culture, we are primed then to expect certain things, including the
Yeah, we expect that the specific culture is the same as a real life culture. Like you are like mirroring something, and like when you already made that in the animation, like cartoon, and said, okay, we based this on Vikings and stuff, and then randomly change it, people will get mad because okay, we already like know this character is white. Why change it and like in a specific adaptation? It's just like dumb.
way the people represented look. Even if the story surrounding the people is fictional, if we know the story is about Vikings, we expect to see white people.
Yeah.
Because the Vikings were white Europeans, and today they mostly still are, because they're, you know, they're like near where the snow is, and they
It's
are
cold.
pale. They're pale people to blend in, so they don't get eaten by polar bears. Maybe. I don't know. If we were being told a similarly fictional story, but it was set in ancient China, I would not expect to see Europeans or Africans
Yeah.
running around. It's crazy.
I
but
wouldn't expect
to
that.
see Chinese people, and I won't lie. I think it's a little alarming that this expectation suddenly changes when
Yeah, like if they like, this would be fucked up if they recreated Mulan and changed Mulan into a black girl. That would be fucked up. They already recreated it, but if they recreated it again and made Mulan black, that would that would be peak Disney.
it concerns a European culture. Once again, I find it extremely ironic that effort has
I think for them it's okay because it's a white person. It's not a minority, so for minority for them, but so they change it to be more inclusive and stuff. So it's just dumb. Don't bring politics in your like politics and your feelings in making fucking art or like movies, specifically politics in movies, but it's kind of fucking weird. You watch the movie for the movie, not your fucking politics.
has been put into giving us a gimmicky version of Vikings. We have their long houses, their clothing, their
Yeah,
hairstyles,
very
obviously
accurate.
within the context of a kid's film. But their skin color, arguably one of the most distinctive parts of these people, is where Hollywood draws the line. Now, I know that some of you think I'm being a little bit dramatic with relation to this specific issue and the frequency at which it's happening and yada yada. And I also know that you're not, gonna fully embrace the road that I'm about to take you down, but hear me out. I have long been of the opinion that there is a concerted attempt in media and entertainment to undermine and destroy European cultures
Yeah.
and their various representations
I don't
on
know why.
screen. And I think that we've been seeing this a lot for a very long period of time. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, recently you had Angrboda, who was race swapped, and Boleyn was race swapped. Jarl Hacken, I think that said Jarl. Feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm sorry I butcher every name I ever try to say. Anyway, Jarl Hacken was race and sex swapped because they decided to get creative there. And these are just a handful that I remember off the top of my head because there's been so many. I don't
Literally
wanna
to
list them
push an
all.
agenda.
I said this before, but I think it bears repeating because I am nothing if not a broken record. European cultures have their own rich histories, folklore, myths, stories, appearances, and so on, and those things deserve to be accurately and fairly represented
Yeah.
in film and television, at least to, a very decent extent. And I personally find it absolutely absurd that Western media
This is not fate, okay? Hollywood is not fate. You cannot get away with this shit in Hollywood. If it's fate, if it was made by Nasu, you can get away with race swapping. Not technically race swapping. Race swapping, but gender bending, you can do that. If it's Nasu, because it's fucking fate. You can do anything in fate.
outfits are so comfortable undermining centuries old cultures simply because they're trying to meet Californian sensibilities. Which,
Yeah.
honestly, we should just put in the bin at this point. The activist class is routinely upset when they believe that something has been whitewashed. So, again, I ask the question, how is it any less culturally insensitive when
Why is Viking culture whitewashed? It's really a white culture.
say Angrboda shows up having been blackwashed, or
Yeah.
when everyone acts like they're
It's not blackwashing because like we were oppressed, so like we have the rights to do that. No. Even though if you're oppressed, you don't have the rights to fucking change shit for your own selfish desires. Like you cannot change history because you were enslaved and like oppressed. A lot of people were oppressed and enslaved back then. You don't hear other races complain about that.
is inherent racism in ancient Norse culture because everybody is too white.
Yeah,
Obviously,
because
there
it's a
are
white fucking culture. What do you expect from you? You're going to a white fucking like city and like look at their history and you're offended that it has too much white people. Yes, because it's a white country. Like it's mainly white people who are making this fucking history. So you cannot be fucking offended because of like there's no black people in a white predominant city or like country. And like yeah, I don't why, I don't know. I don't know.
so many other components to this conversation that I'm not going to get into in this video, partially because I've covered a lot of them in previous videos that I've made on my channel. And the other component here that's just worth me saying, just so that you guys know, if you read the Screen Rant article, you will find that there are other things that the director said that are definitely worth getting into, but again, we just simply don't have time here. I think the bottom line for me is that it's perfectly fine to create entertainment that's based in fantasy, that's fun to watch, and that has new and fun and exciting ideas in it, where different races can come together
Yeah.
and be seen on screen together in a way that makes sense and doesn't cause people to freak out. The fantasy and the creativity, that's not the issue here. Obviously, I can only speak for myself when it comes to this, but I dare say that there is a large portion of you who likely align with my sentiments here. So the best way
Sure,
that I can
people do.
describe this is that I feel quite put out by the fact that there is so little respect for European cultures in entertainment and media.
Yeah.
There seems to be this odd and pretty horrible concerted attempt to undermine cultures that either currently exist or used to exist. like the Vikings. And it's sort of weird to consider the fact that we're living through this odd period of historical revisionism in media where certain activist types are very, very intent on pretending that certain features of these cultures didn't actually take place, namely that they were ethnically homogenous groups of people. In the end, imagination is great, and creating new and fun stories is great.
Yeah, it's
But I
fucking
am
great.
personally never going to get behind this bizarre Hollywood trend of erasing light-skinned people from their own cultures and mythologies.
Because they don't think it's fucking racist because they are white. So it's okay to fucking be racist towards them because you can be racist to white people. But racism is literally discrimination against any race. So even though you're white, you can still be racist to a white person because it's discrimination no matter what. Like, white people didn't invent fucking racism. Racism has been implanted in every culture in the world. Like, you might not like that, but it's true. Like, racism has been there long, long, long ago. Like, people will hate anyone that are not the same or aligned with their culture. Like, that's just like humanity since the dawn of time. Like, white people are not exclusively the top dog in racism.
Now, on that happy and pleasant note,
Mr. Tyrion, thank you for the follow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder, check out PDS Debt using the link in the description. Go and check them out for your free analysis. It's worth doing just for the sake of being a little bit more educated about what your options are. Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Are you on my side of this issue? Where
Yeah,
you think that
majority
this
of people
type
will
of
probably
thing is totally
on her
nuts
side to
and
this.
unnecessary, that if you already had an existing
Yeah.
character, why don't you just make the new one look the same way or very similar?
Yeah, it's
Do you
unnecessary
think
to
that
foreign
I'm kind
huge
of
changes.
off my rocker on this one, and this is not really that big of a deal? It's really not that deep, and it just kind of is what it is. Do you think that
Like, you cannot bend the knee to that shit. Like, but it's literally racism because it's like if it happened to a black person, a black character, and turned it into a white character, people will be outraged. People will be outraged. Like, you cannot bend the knee to this kind of stuff because it will normalize like white, just racism against white people. Like, that's just like racism is always gonna be racism no matter what you fucking like like disguise it as.
is making a weird concerted attempt to push white people out of their own cultures and mythologies and whatnot. Do you think that it's right? Do you think that it's wrong? Do you think we should be inclusive? That we should include all sorts of people who look all sorts of ways in all kinds of stories, even if it doesn't make any sense? And what do you generally
It
make of this?
depends. It really depends on the story. Like, if you make a fucking actual fantasy and just like just amalgamation of cultures, yes, you can make that. But if you're basing it in reality and like actual history, you cannot like just do that willy-nilly unless it's like it's your own world.
This issue overall. As always, if you made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride. If you are new here and you are not subscribed already and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel as well as leaving this video a like and a comment, because I do read the majority of them and I do like hearing your feedback.
Like and
Of
comment.
course, happiest Valentine's Day to you all. I hope
Related
it was a really wonderful day.
Valentines.
And as per usual, I will see you wonderful, pretty people in the next video.
Yay! What a great video. It's just like Hollywood really need to fucking like step back and just don't bend the knee on like woke shit, because that's fucking annoying.